from shall we say the Warrior ratings from last night?
Do you know what? The last time I did a player rating that I'm this excited was when we came back from the Manchester City. It was me and Sim for the Harry Kane performance. I'm going to thoroughly enjoy these player ratings.
Yeah, as do I. I think this is the player ratings I've been most looking forward to all season. Vicario up first, 7s all round for Big Vic. I really like the kind of new way of Vicario just kind of battering instead of like continually playing out the back. He went long quite a few times, relieved a bit of pressure that way. In terms of the saves he had to make, I mean, he made a couple of routine saves in the first half where it just down his throat. In the second half, he made one decent save, and that was about it. It was fairly untested, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he had a very, very quiet night, and he did make that very good save in the end of the second half when things were creeping up on us and the pressure was mounting. But like the Super Chat mentioned, very impressed with his distribution. Maybe not the quality of getting to the play, but just, if in doubt, kick it, and just relieving the pressure from that back four who had a magnificent performance. I think it had a big impact on the team, and I hope we see more of that, because it just relieved. How many times have we seen the pressure brought on us because of this playing from the back, and there was no risk of it yesterday. And yeah, well done, Vicario.
Next up is Pedro Porro, 8s all round for Pedro, and I thought his set piece delivery was spot on yesterday. I know nothing really came of it, but I thought they were all dangerous going into the box in the game yesterday. I thought defensively he stood up really well. Didn't really have too many opportunities to go forward as he usually does, but I thought it was a really professional display from Pedro yesterday.
Yeah, I think as well this time that he's rotating with Spence. And he is getting a breather, because remember, at the midway point and latter part of this season, where he's just playing constantly, he was really low on confidence, and his form went out the window. He's such a talented player with his distribution and set pieces, and he's getting better and better with every game. Still needs to be a little bit better positional defending, but it was not called upon last night, and it was a good game for Pedro Porro.
Next up is Romero, 9s all round for Kuti. And, you know, like I've said many a time on this stream, I was so angry with him after the Wolves game and the performance that he put in. I went as far to say that he should never wear the captain's armband again. He wore it last night, and he wore it with pride last night, and he fought for the team. He battled for the team. He put in an exceptional performance. Hugo Ekitike pretty much had no sniff throughout the whole game. Brilliant touches from Ekitike, but every time he brought it down, Romero was there to gobble him up, and he put in such an unbelievable display. I enjoyed his performance so much. And in the latter stages of the game, when, you know, it was getting really nervy in the last 10 minutes for Spurs, it was always Romero that was being that aggressive defender. He even charged up the pitch in the latter stage, just clattered someone in the middle of the park, and yeah, it could have been more than a yellow, to be honest. I think it was a bit of a dangerous challenge, but he stood up for the team last night, and that's what we all wanted to see.
I also forgot we didn't even talk about at the end with that shithousery where from the last corner, do you remember he lay down for ages?
Oh yeah, that
and he just sat down, and we did that a lot yesterday, didn't we? We did the dark arts, and Romero was at the heart of most of it.
And you know what as well? It was his ball over the top that Maddison played in Maddison that won the penalty.
Yep, it was a good spot from him, but it was a night and day, two ends of the spectrum performance from Wolves to last night's performance, and it was an accomplished, determined, and obviously, as we were saying earlier, he just defended. He wasn't gallivanting to the top apart from set pieces. It was a brilliant performance from him, and well done, Kuti.
Yeah, and it was like that proper kind of felt like that was the Argentina Kuti Romero that we saw last night, wasn't it?
Yep. Completely, without the error that he did against Brazil.
Yeah.
He was flawless, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Apart from the yellow card.
Yeah, but we needed that at that moment in the game as well.
Yeah.
Mickey van der Ven up next, 9s all round for Mickey. What a majestic display from Mickey van der Ven yesterday. That challenge when it looked like for all to see that Eintracht Frankfurt were about to take the lead. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. That was a game-saving challenge in itself, you know, because if we go 1-0 down at that moment in time, I think it was 0-0 at the time.
It was.
You know, if we go 1-0 down there, you know, you never know how the game can progress. And every time the ball came close to him, or every time the ball was like in his sight, that's it. He was there to gobble it up. Every time it looked like it was about to get in behind, there was Mickey van der Ven. You really saw the afterburners come out. And it was Mickey's best display we've seen since before his injury, for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it wasn't as gracious as the Ledley King Robin, but it had the importance that he had to get back there last man. and it was with that rapid pace. And as we were saying, if that had gone wrong, that's a penalty, maybe a red card. The timing of it was immaculate. Remember how soaking wet that pitch must have been as well. So that would have been a factor into all the challenges being made by everyone. But it was the performance we know he can put in. And obviously, again, that media soundbite that came out about ask the manager if why I'm not playing every week. He's just shown how vitally important he is, isn't he? He's just a monster for us. And apart from that at the end, heavy touch right at the end, again, another one didn't put foot wrong.
Wrap this man in cotton wool until the first leg against Bodo. That's what I say. Destiny Udogie, 9s all round for Destiny. We said it in the first leg, that's his best performance of the season. Well, this was definitely his best performance of the season. Unbelievable on that left-hand side. So dominant, defensively sound, and he was such an outlet going forward as well, bulldozing his way down that left-hand side of the pitch. That was really the Destiny of old yesterday, and it really does feel like now Destiny is getting back to his best, and this is the Destiny that we know and love.
Yeah, and I think Destiny himself is probably growing more confidence in his body now, because obviously he might have been too scared to stretch out that extra muscle or challenge or risk of injury or anything. But he, like I said, we're seeing the more powerful Destiny come in. We're seeing the more confident Destiny come in. His defending went up a level yesterday. He was constantly going forward. And as we've mentioned before, I think that relationship with Tell is certainly helping him improve and get back to where he was. And if he gets back to where he was when we first signed him, everyone was talking about him. No one could stop him. But he is looking like the powerful Destiny yesterday.
Yeah. Rodrigo Bentancur up next, 9s all round for Lolo. And yeah, look, I've been one to give him a lot of criticism in terms of the big games we've had this season. But these 2 legs over over Frankfurt have really set him a cut above the rest, to be honest. I think he's been so vital to us, shielding that back four, particularly in the first half. Nothing got past him throughout the whole game. A constant outlet as well in terms of connecting that midfield to the forward line. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. Aerial presence as well from set pieces. I think this guy has really grown in stature over these 2 legs.
I think he was man of the match in both matches. He was fantastic, and it's just his strength on the ball as well. Is the way he's just moving forward, playing the ball through in between the lines, and he was just putting out fires. He was everywhere. When you thought, okay, there's a hole there, he filled that hole. He got the ball. These are the performances he can put in, and as I say, you can see we're giving quite high marks but I said these high marks don't always have to be because they've been technically gifted or done all the showboating and magical. This needed to be a resolute stand-up, man-for-man performance where everyone did their job, everything would work, and they did it. And Rodrigo Bentancur was the heartbeat of it.
Yeah. Lucas Bergvall up next, 8s all round for Bergvall. I felt like in the first half he was just kind of working his way into the game. I don't think he was anywhere near as strong as Bentancur in that first half, but when it came to the second half, oh my days, he put in a performance for the ages in that second half. He was putting out fires left, right and centre. Another one that was shielding that back four. We didn't see him really get forward too much, but what he did do is put in a really controlled, measured, professional performance. Someone of 18 years of age playing in a Europa League quarter-final the way he did, on a yellow card as well. Not a yellow card, but if he got a yellow card, he would have been suspended for the semi-final. That performance in the second half just blew me away from Lucas Bergvall.
I'm in complete agreement. There's not much more I can say upon that, apart from one thing I do love about him as well, is he is a player that will put his body on the line. He will literally, like when people talk about Michael Dawson, that will just go put his body in the way, it doesn't matter, he'll just defend it. Like I said, the shot you missed from Etitike, he just lunged at the ball just to get something on it and make that block. And I love it when a midfielder or any player is prepared to do that. And he just grows and grows. And like you said earlier, I didn't really think about it. He does seem to grow into games and have more of an impact in the second half. And this second half, like I said, I thought he was more important than Bentancur. I think they switched roles or the way they were looking at the game. But Bergvall in the second half, brilliant performance.
James Maddison up next, 7s all round for Maddison. And when you're talking about putting your body on the line, he embodied that yesterday, James Maddison, because he knew what he was doing, winning that penalty yesterday. He knew going into the position that he did, he was going to get absolutely clattered, and he knew he was going to win a penalty, and he absolutely took one for the team yesterday. He took one hell of a hit from that goalkeeper, and pretty much that moment won us the game. So you got to give massive credit to James Maddison for what he did yesterday. Team player, and that showed yesterday. In terms of his general game, I felt like, he was keeping the ball well, but in terms of out and out chance creation, which, what he was on the pitch for, I don't think he showed too much of that. But in terms of the moment where he won the penalty, that was the moment that won us the game. Yeah,
it was a slow start from Madders, but what I did like in some passages of play is he just held onto that ball. When they started creeping into it in the beginning of the first half, and we just need to get our foot on the ball, the one that was doing it was James Maddison, whether it be hold up and a few twists and then back, and obviously the bravery to go for that penalty. We see some players that just chicken out of headers or whatever. He knew what was coming. He got absolutely poleaxed. He even tried to continue, didn't he? But then it was deemed by the medical staff to take him off, and he played a pivotal role in us getting the win.
Yeah. Brennan Johnson up next. Brian gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. There were some nice moments from Brendan in the game, and he was causing an issue, and he was getting in their faces as well, and definitely a cause of frustration for the Frankfurt players. But I felt like I just wanted to see a bit more of guile from Brennan Johnson yesterday, and hurt the opposition a bit more. Because I did think we were a bit numb down that right-hand side of the attack, because it seemed to all be going through that left-hand side with Tell and Destiny. So I felt like I still wanted to see a bit more from Brennan, but in terms of games where we say when he doesn't score, he doesn't do much, it was much better than that yesterday.
Yeah, the reason I've gone a point up above you is I actually think for the first time, he actually trapped back a hell of a lot more and actually helped Porro. So his defensive, and we've all spoken about how he doesn't get back. You just got to look at that Bournemouth goal, the first goal we conceded. He actually did a lot of work to get back and support Porro. And then obviously he did put in the good cross for Tell, and Tell miscued it. He was quite offensively agreed, but I think I've given him the extra point more for his defensive work as opposed to his offensive.
Fair play. Matisse Tells, Brian gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. I thought, out of the wingers, he was definitely the more dangerous of the two. It seemed like we were always trying to find him out on that left-hand side, and he was a constant threat. He had a couple of chances in the game, one that he pretty much just created himself, pretty much from the Sonny zone. Unbelievable effort that the keeper was at full stretch for. And you could see right from the off, we even mentioned it on the watch-along, like, this guy really wants it. He's busting a gut to get the ball every time. He's trying to take on his man. Providing us with a real presence out there on the left-hand side. And I still think like he could have done a bit more in terms of getting in really those goal-scoring opportunities and but I think his crosses in the box, he was providing some really nice ones. So what I liked about Tell is just his work rate, his effort, his desire. But there's definitely more to come from Matisse. I think he's growing in the shirt.
Yeah, he certainly has. The last 2 games have been very, very impressed with him. And what I did like with him, he was prepared. What we've been wanting Brendan Johnson to do, to grab the ball, take on a man, try something, get past him. Tell was trying all of that. And he does seem to be growing in stature. There's a lot of talk. Is he a striker? Is he a left winger? Where's his best position? And I think the last 2 games that I've seen him, obviously one live, one I've been so impressed with his movement. I think he's had the best movement out of our front line. He does seem to, hopefully he can end the season with a real flourish. And really make it that we have to snap him up. Not this decision, should we, shan't we? But based on his movement and the way he's played the last couple of days, very impressed with him.
Dominic Solanke up next. Brian gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. Again, with Dominic Solanke, I've been heavily critical over him over the past couple of weeks, or since he's been back with his injury, where I don't think he's been impacting the game enough. And I think, again, it was another game where he was fairly isolated up top. Definitely, but I felt like what he was doing, I felt like the work rate was incredible. And it wasn't just the work rate, he was giving the opposition just something else to think about every single time, where maybe in previous games he hasn't really been doing that. And I felt, again, he's another player from the off where we both agreed on the watch along saying, look, this guy really wants it today. And you can really tell he was the man that stepped up for the penalty as well. As cool as you like, really made the keeper go the wrong way, and then he just dinked it down the middle. So I think Dom Solanke, it was a much better performance yesterday than we've seen kind of in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he's lucky not to get booked with a couple of elbows, and he does so much work off the pitch. He does so much work off the ball and teamwork-wise. We just need to get him the service and more central to have an impact on the game where we've brought him to do so. But what I will say, taking the ball off Tell to take that penalty, obviously low on confidence, or we would assume low on confidence for not getting in the goals, not the best performances. And then to just dink it down the middle took a lot of balls and a lot of self-belief and confidence. And it was a great penalty. We got the job done. Now, hopefully he can start from here and end the season with a bang.
Yeah. The substitutes, Dejan Kulusevski, Brian gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I wouldn't say you saw Kulusevski at his best here, but what he did do, again, was just fight tooth and nail for the team, never stopped running. And I felt as the game was progressing, he was becoming more of an influence of us, of just shutting down Frankfurt and just being a real thorn in their side and really stemming the tide in our favour. And I felt like the defensive work that he did in the game was simply incredible. And I don't think Maddison is really capable of those kind of performance that Decky put in. So I don't, from an attacking perspective, I don't think he did too much, but for his grit and sheer work rate, I thought he was incredible.
Yeah, he skewed that one shot wide right at the end when we could have made it 2-0.
Yeah.
He's seeing that he's come back from a month injury, had a few minutes at Wolves, or 20 minutes. The power in his running and the work rate and just making sure he was always available for the ball. I don't think it was his best, but a brilliant performance, but you can't fault his energy levels and work rate for the team is incredible, and it's so good to see him back. And obviously came on a lot earlier than we thought we would.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Pape, 6s all round for Pape Matar. Look, he just added a bit more energy into the midfield. He was part of the unit that were keeping Frankfurt out. But yeah, it was just a bit of an anonymous one, but I guess he did add just a few more legs in the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing much I can say about Sarr, but what I will say about it is it was great to see, and we'll talk about Ange shortly, obviously, and saw that they were getting a little bit we were getting a little bit overrun. It's going to be all hands on deck. And he brought on a holding midfielder, and then the next guy we're about to talk about.
Yeah. Last player that we're going to talk about is Kevin Danso, and I love this guy, man. Yep. I really do. 7s all round. And he came on with not many minutes left, but what he did do is just provided us with exactly what we needed in that moment in the game. Frankfurt were obviously pressing, pushing, and every time the ball came close to Danso, he was just getting it away, heading it away, battering it away, smashing the ball up the pitch. And it's so great that we can bring on a defender of his quality in a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, when he was just warming up to come on, he's just a machine, isn't he? He is just a unit and a half, and he did make a couple of decisive blocks and clearances, which could have fallen to anywhere the way that was going, 6s and 7s in the penalty box. So he came on, shored things up. And again, Ange went to a back 5, brought in a holding midfielder. And that's why he's getting a lot of praise today for making these changes and differences to make sure we got over the line.
And last but not least, Ange Postecoglou. Me and Brian both give him a 9 out of 10. You know, everyone says he don't change it up, he don't do this, he don't do that. You know, we've been saying that as well. But in the game yesterday, those are the exact tactics and the exact game management that we needed to get through in the tie. A really professional performance out in Frankfurt, which I can't remember in Europe at a good team the last time that we done and put in a performance like that. The whole team were bang on it. Like I said, the game management and the substitutes were absolutely perfect. I thought, you know, Kulusevski one was forced, and I thought maybe he could have made a couple of changes earlier, but the changes that he did make, every one of them made an impact, and it was exactly what we needed in that stage of the game. So I can't praise Ange Postecoglou enough for masterminding that victory over Frankfurt yesterday, because not a lot of people gave us a chance. You know, we didn't give ourselves a chance. And Ange said, you know what, I'm going to show you guys how to win away in Europe in a big tie. And that's exactly what we did.
Well, you look at this as well. Like Sim said earlier, with the maybe the Dortmund performance being that one. We're 3-0 up. And that was peak Poch and everything was rosy in the garden, wasn't it? This was the exact opposite. There's so much pressure on the team, so much pressure on Ange, so much pressure on the players. And look, you and I have been on here since we've become Ange out and been very, very critical of him. Very, very critical. And today we look back on a great team performance. He got everything spot on, from the selection to the substitutes, to change it to a back five, to making sure he brought Sarr on, to make sure that all the subs made sense. Sometimes we've seen subs that didn't make sense. And we got the job done under immense pressure from the fans, from the media, from everything. And like Sim said, to see him smiling and with all the players, he thoroughly deserved his moment yesterday. Well done, Ange Postecoglou, for masterminding that performance. Whether people want to think the players got together or whatever, we are in a semi-final of a European tournament, and he deserves praise today.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. You know, he's the one that's the manager of the team. So as much as we give him credit for the poor performances, you have to give him a lot of praise for that, which is our best night in Europe since 2019, since the Man City and Ajax legs. So unbelievable stuff. He's the one that produced those Warriors on the pitch yesterday. So massive credit to Ange Postecoglou.
Do we get to rank the green kit? I think we need to wear the green kit for the rest of the season.
Green kit is Europe away from home. That has got to be what we do from now on.
What colour does Bodo wear? Is their home
yellow,
kit?
I think it is. Yellow and black, I think it is.
So let's just hope we choose to wear our green shirt.
We have to wear green in Europe now. That's got to be like the done thing.
10 out of 10 for the green shirt.
And you know, I was talking to you yesterday about the Man City quarterfinal in the Champions League. It was actually 6 years to the day yesterday of that.
Wow. 6 years today, I smashed an iPad because I thought the fourth goal would actually and then my mate phoned me and said, you're in the semi-finals. I was like, what are you talking about?
Forget about all this, because we're going to get all into it in Reacts. And let's move on to Reacts and see how